Hey everyone, my name is Liz Wright, and I am a professor of psychology at Northwest Vista College in San Antonio, Texas, if we have not met before. And I've been doing videos every day talking about the things that I've seen in the media or articles that I've read that day that relate to psychology. And I'm actually really excited about what I want to talk about today because I love books. I love reading. I love fiction, nonfiction. I do find myself reading fiction a lot faster than nonfiction, but I think that that's processing in terms of, a nonfiction book. I feel like I should process it more in depth than, if I'm just reading about characters doing the thing, right? So, I'm always interested in looking at research relating to reading books and libraries and stuff like that. And I came across two articles today. One that was talking about the benefits of reading. So, in therapy, one thing that we can use as a therapist is what we call bibliotherapy. Bibliotherapy basically means that a therapist has a list of books that can be beneficial to a person who is experiencing certain events. So, for example, if a person is grieving, we might have a list of books relating to the experience of grieving that they can read if they're a reader, if they're interested in reading, right? Um, that can help them to, I don't want to say normalize the experience, but can help them to recognize that the experience that they're having is a normal part of the grieving process and that others have experienced it and things like that. So, as therapists, we might have a list of books that we provide to clients relating to the experiences that they have. And like I said, that's called bibliotherapy. So, the article I was reading about bibliotherapy was talking about the positive impacts of reading in general. So, reading can decrease our heart rate. It can basically decrease a lot of the stress related responses that our body has. And I mean, obviously, if you're reading like a horror book or something like that, it might increase your body's stress responses, right? But it's not in a way that makes your body feel like it's personally under stress, if that makes sense. So reading can definitely be beneficial in terms of our emotions, but also it was found that people who read more um, are better at understanding other people's experiences. So experiencing empathy, but also using, theory of mind, understanding how other people think, where they're coming from, what their experience might be, being able to turn myself around and put myself in their shoes and go, okay, I just said XYZ. How might that impact this other person? How might this other person be feeling based upon what I just said? So reading definitely has a lot of benefits, not just in terms of decreased sympathetic nervous system response, so decreasing stress and anxiety and things like that, but also, cognitively making us learn to better understand others, to have empathy, to learn from other people's experiences. All of those are obviously great beneficial things, right? So, another article I was reading today was about a woman who works for the New York Public Library System, and she had read a book on positive psychology called Flourish from Martin Seligman. And she initially read it because she was interested in personal well being and personal flourishment. But then she recognized that the concepts applied in the book could actually be applied to a library. So she partnered with researchers in positive psychology to study library patrons' experiences with the library and how basically how does or how could a library, being in a library, going to the library, positively impact an individual's well-being. So think to yourself, so let's pause for a second. Think to yourself about your experiences with libraries. Um, I know for me, I was always a kid that I love learning. I love books. I love the smell of books. If you think that's weird, I get it, but it's true. I love paper books. I do read ebooks, but I love the tactile of books. And so libraries for me as a kid, as an adult, have always been this wondrous space of like, holy crap, look at all of this knowledge, all this stuff, all these cool things I could learn about. I could just walk down the shelves or walk down the aisles. I have something in my eye. Walk down the aisles and just read titles of books and go like, oh, that looks cool. Oh, that looks interesting. Oh, that looks neat. And now, I mean, libraries aren't just providing books, but they're providing lots of other stuff, tools for you to learn new skills. I was watching a video the other day. This woman was talking about how she had learned to knit on a loom because she borrowed a loom from her library. Like it's not just about books anymore. I mean, we've always known that they do maybe videos or they do DVDs or they do music and stuff like that, but now libraries are offering even more services and opportunities to learn. They're offering classes. Like there's so many things that a lot of our libraries are doing. So yeah, think about your experiences with libraries and how they made you feel. For me, my experiences with libraries have always made me feel more relaxed, more focused, more centered. Even there have been instances where I had trouble concentrating on work at home. I remember when I was working on my dissertation for my PhD, I would go to the library and I would work my local library, not the college library, my local library, bring my laptop, bring all my articles and, work on my writing there because, maybe people at my house were distracting or things at my house were distracting. Like my brain would say like, well, but there's dishes to do and there's this and there's that. So being in the library kind of put me in a space where I didn't have to think about those things, but it's quiet. And it definitely feels like a safe place. It feels like a relaxing place. And so the researchers at the New York Public Library System found that patrons did increase their sense of well-being after visiting the library. So they talked about their experience with relaxation, sense of safety, feeling excited about learning. But it's really just, to me, it's amazing that we have these spaces that can have such a positive impact on individuals. And that, maybe there's people in the world that don't realize that libraries offer the things that they do, or that they have such positive effects on well-being. But I definitely suggest, if you haven't recently visited your local library, go check it out. Go spend some time there. Go wander. Look at what they have to offer. Talk to librarians. I always love talking to librarians. And if you're a person who likes to read or is interested in reading, pick up a book that looks interesting to you, because as we said, reading can be beneficial in terms of personal well-being and in terms of decreasing our sympathetic nervous system response. So yeah, books.